everybody. I'm Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today we are continuing with our Brigid painting. So we're at this stage. We're going to get the next leg in. I know we're running a little bit behind, so I want to say thank you for everybody for being so patient on this quest. On the mic today is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
He's going to be tracking me with the cameras and making sure that as I'm explaining each step of making this painting, you guys can actually see what I'm doing. That way we have that audio and visual learning that we like so much. I'm really excited about this stage because now we get into some of the funner stuff like the flowers and the dress and the skin tones and things. We're not going to try to wrap the whole thing up today because that would be like a crazy push. We're going to definitely just do our hour and then we'll meet up again next week to finish her up. I hope you guys are fully in the mood to finish her up. We've got a picture-in-picture. So that's where we're going to be going. If you've just walked in here and you're like, I don't know, YouTube said there was a live, this is what we're doing. And because this is a longer painting, we're just breaking her up into segments. That way it's more realistic on trying to make her. I'm going to have my coffee. So I'm all up and ready. I really think she's coming out quite good. I'm happy with the direction that we're going.
I am too.
So I'm going to put out my paint for the next stage. I'm going to want to add some plant life right here in this sort of mid-range. I think I'm going to start blocking in her dress, you know, getting some of this down. I may start even blocking in different parts of her value. I'm not going to really refine it yet. I'm going to just try to catch the lights and the darks and the basic colors, you know, through here, and then really try to refine through here and maybe even add some interesting leaves and bits through here. So I think that's where we're going. Let's put out our paint. I'm using acrylic paint today, and I'm definitely going to be putting out my titanium white. Make sure where my camera is on that. I'm also using zinc. I like to use two whites, mostly because this is very opaque and heavy and really impacts the pigment and the hue of the paint, whereas the zinc is much more transparent and almost pearlescent and creates a nice landscape effect. It's really fantastic for doing foliage. Today, because we're getting into some color, I'm going to definitely put out some of my quinacridone magenta, which I really love. All the colors are listed in the description below, including a link to the website where you can find every one of the quest paintings housed and every step of this painting kept. So if you're having trouble finding it, that is a quick resource you might not know you have. I'm putting out some Indian yellow. I did alizarin crimson here. So you can see I've got my two whites. I've got a nice kind of warmer red and cooler red. I've got like a warm yellow. And I'll put out a little of my cooler yellow. Right, see that right there? And you can kind of obviously see that because this has more of the red in it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'll put out a little of my burnt sienna, as I definitely want to tone back some of what I have. We're going to actually be playing with a huge amount of the palette today. I think I'll definitely hit also my Docs purple in my phthalo blue and my phthalo green. So it's full palette time. I think I have everything out but the yellow ochre. And I'll probably have to get it out and when I'm doing skin tones. So, and the burnt umber. They're all going to have to come out today. It's the full palette.
The full palette.
The full palette today. But we'll leave a little space on this and grab those other colors when we're getting to it. I'm going to take my mister because my studio gets quite hot and dry. And just mist my paint. I don't want it to be wet because water control is very important in acrylic painting, but I also don't want the paint to dry out on me personally before I get a chance to put it in because nothing derails your painting faster than your acrylic paint drying on the palette. And that's something to realize is acrylic paint dries. That's one of our challenges. And because of that, my favorite tool is acrylic glazing medium. But this isn't, now all acrylic glazing mediums are the same. A lot of times when there's labeling, trying to squeeze it out.
Squeeze.
I have got a plug in here for sure. I always plug my glazing liquid. All right. The bottle, I hate to use the bottle I got from Golden.
It's because it's sacred now.
From the booth. I'll like refill it. Like I'll keep this bottle and go, this is special. So here's the dish. If you haven't done all of the big art quests and you're not familiar. So most companies, when they call something a glazing medium, what they mean is it allows you to thin the paint to a transparent, thin, hard glaze. It dries very quickly, and you cannot work it until it's dry. You can't keep glazing over it. When Golden made glazing liquid, the gloss glazing liquid, and it comes in gloss and semi, this also extends the paint, allows you to glaze, but it slows down the drying time and smooths the brushability of the paint. And that's why I like this product, and that's why I keep recommending this product, because if you bought the other stuff, your brush would be like, dry on the canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's going on there. I think I'm going to just start with a trusty cat's tongue number 4. You guys know how I love this brush. It's like one of my favorites. I'm going to drag this off. Well, I designed it, so I guess it should be one of my favorites. If you make a brush, you should like a brush. That would be horrible not to, right? And I'm going to start kind of refining some little bits of some space here. So I'm going to take a little of my Indian yellow, which I love, into my phthalo green, and I'm going to knock that back with a bit of my burnt sienna. So I've warmed up the green with the yellow, but I've added the burnt sienna. And I'm going to make some like darker, richer shapes here. Just, sort of tentatively. If you're noticing my work here, is I'm tapping around. Now, normally, to observe something, I'm holding this as if I'm sitting at a table. And very close up on the ferrule and very close to the work. And the reason is because I'm standing in so close to this work. Normally at an easel, I would stand much further back and almost hold the brush to the back of the brush and just sort of be touching it along going, oh, this is very lovely. I love what it's doing here. Little dashes. But that kind of pulls me out of the range of the camera. So I've had to make some adaptations to my painting space to work this. Now, as I'm moving here into the light, one of the things I'm going to want to remember to do is grab a little of the yellow on my brush and a little of my zinc, not my titanium because it'll overwhelm me, and warm any plant life I have coming into the sun here. This is something, keep track of it in any of your landscape painting, any of your fantasy painting. If you've created a strong light source, warm the colors that are in the cone of the light source. And that means, getting into your reds, your yellows, your warmer colors in your palette, whatever those happen to be. And sometimes I'll even lighten and soften them as they get into this light source. And that will also help enforce the feeling that there is a strong light source in your painting. Be that a sunset, be that a landscape, whatever you've got going on, warm things in the light. And I can even take this further by going into my cad yellow, which is a very strong color and you have to be very careful with in a landscape. And I'm going to come and add just a little bit of this. Can you see how that just tells the story of things being a little more dappled in the sun?
Oh, yeah.
This is an important thing to be able to do. Keeping those the highlights warm and cool, the shadows warm and cool, tell a lot about the environment that your characters are in or your landscape is in. Back into the Indian yellow, loading up. And I'll get back into my green with a little bit of my brown, adding water. Another thing you can do if your paint is drying on your brush, sometimes you can get it right into your glazing medium and work it through. And that way it's in the bristles, sitting in there as you're adding paint, and that can help slow down your paint drying time on the brush. I'm getting pretty good at these survival skills where I've got a very hot studio and I've got to keep my brush working. So you see how I'm just moving my brush around very randomly, and I'm trying to create this sense of shapes that are natural, and it's soft. The canvas, shows through, and that's okay. It should. And I'm letting it be transparent and glazy as I'm layering. Because sometimes when we're looking into direct light, into magical spaces, they tend to be transparent and glazy, don't they? Now,
Yeah.
as I'm... What, babe?
So,
Sorry.
yeah, I was agreeing.
I'm sorry. I'm talking
Emphatically
today.
agreeing.
I apologize, babe. I'm talking today.
Oh, you're good. Being this is your show, we kind of came here to listen to you talk.
Maybe.
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 Maybe. All right.
Giving comments lately, I don't know. So I'm coming back here. One of the things I'm feeling is I'm feeling like this is a lovely, lovely color, and it's definitely creating that pattern breakup. You can see me tapping the brush and and randomly breaking up these patterns to imply my foliage.
Yeah.
But I feel like it could cool down a bit, so I can either go into my purple or my blue. I'm going to try with my blue first. I'm going to get my blue into this mix and then add my burnt sienna and see how that's now a much cooler brown.
Yeah.
I mean, green, and I can add this in here, and that will help enforce that this bit of what's happening is in a cooler spot than those that are right up into the cone of light. How are you doing today, babe?
Good.
You know, it was so weird. I had such a like crazy thing getting the ATC design team off, and ATC's going, and then I had that wild marathon bunch of painting that I've been doing over the staycation.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a time. It's been a time.
We've got all the building going on.
Got all the building going on.
Construction.
Woo! Oh, here we go. So I'm just keeping this. You can kind of see that I'm just adding to that sense that framing in the painting of this dark into light, doesn't it? You know, and I can push little bits of it in softly. See how this brush lets me do these soft effects? There's a couple things at play here. If you're struggling with this effect at home where you're like, how is it like pastels on her canvas and it's like crazy on mine? Couple things at play. Floating medium in my brush. This cat's tongue is fantastic. This canvas is an ampersand, and it's it's not canvas, it's a gesso board. And this gesso board has a particularly smooth finish, and it's going to let me do this sort of pastel soft effect with my acrylic. If that is your grail, you're like, I want that oil effect, that I want to paint acrylic, I want my work to be soft. I don't want to have like the painterly hard edges, then these kinds of tools are things that you're definitely going to want to add to your toolkit. And outside of the brushes, which, you know, this brush is mine, so that could definitely skew my opinion, but the medium and the canvas, you know, are not like ones I designed in Art Mind. So
Yeah. Now what's one of the things of note, that palette, gesso board.
yes, the gesso board.
I'm gonna get my vocabulary right one of these days. Can't say names correctly either. So that gessoed panel.
Yes.
Is one of the nice features about it is being so super smooth with that neato coating. That's what makes it reflect the light in that.
Yes, exactly. It lets more of the color exit my canvas and hit the viewer's eye. If I were a person who was very into realism, man, this would make a big difference. And also, if you're into realism, don't take how I paint to impact the efficacy of what I'm saying to you, because I have my style. But if I were trying to paint high realism, these tools would be essential.
I just in earnest used the word neato.
Did you in earnest neato it up?
I'm just calling it like I see it.
Well, secretly, John and I used to live in Sunnydale and fight vampires.
Shh.
But Josh Whedon has us under a gag order.
Now you've done it.
I know I have. It's just a problem. So I'm just trying to tell stories of shadows and, right? You want to get the feeling that there could be a unicorn back in this forest.
No, seriously. You know how hard it is to get Spike to leave?
You know that my mom thought he was hot? She and I, it was actually a really hard moment for me as a young woman, because she was like, Spike is so hot, and I could not stand him. I just felt like a really whiny guy. And it was like we would go back and forth, and I was like, no, you don't. And she's like, no, I do. He's very good looking. He's super attractive. It does sort of explain my dad, who sort of looked like that.
Mm.
And of course, my dad is totally handsome, because I love my dad. But he is not whiny at all. He's Mr. Independent MacGyver guy. All right, so I'm just, again, over here, what am I doing? I'm just telling these little brush stories, right? These little bush stories with my brush story. And the saturation of this green will impact if the bushes are feeling closer, if they're feeling further away, how this is received by the eye, if that makes sense.
Dare I say that's some shrubbery?
Shrubbery. Shrubberies. Your homework is to watch Monty Python today. Yes, that is your homework, totally.
And to come back with some shrubbery studies.
Come back with shrubbery studies. Watch Monty Python and come back with shrubbery studies. It is the TheArtSherpa School of Art where you have to watch like geekery and respond artistically. Required. I'm going to get into my inning yellow as I'm moving towards the light.
It's like a book club, only it's a geek club.
Only it's a geek club.
For artists.
For artists. We need one. The other artists are so cool. No, I'm kidding. They're very nice. All the other artists are, for the most part, nice. But here I am, coming forward, warming it up. I could even imply some light gets back a little bit, right?
Mm.
And say, hey, maybe a little reflected off the thing and another thing, and came back and, had a moment and talked to me a bit and softening all this. It's very important around her, especially because she's got her magical light, right? That we keep things super soft if we'd like to keep that lighting effect going. You know what we're doing?
Mm.
And we're just softening it up. And it's just so pretty. And just follow that around. I love this little brush. I love this little brush so much. Love my brushes, all my brushes. Actually, guys, I gotta tell you just really honestly, I like all brushes that are good brushes. Just so you know, good brushes make me happy.
There are some brushes that are more useful than other brushes.
This is true. There are some decorative brushes of which I don't personally have a mass amount of use for.
Now, we ourselves, we've got silver brushes in our house. We're a silver house.
Yeah, and we were before we had
it just now works out that we get a lot of free brushes.
Behind the scenes story, since you guys are so nice to have shown up. When I was first on my YouTube channel, and my mom wasn't yet on YouTube, I was trying to decide what materials to use, and I had just gone to the Jerry's sale. If you don't know this, Jerry's a couple times a year puts like all brushes on sale for just ridiculous amounts of money. And their in-house brand brushes can be like $1. Mm-hmm. So I got a bunch of this other brand of brushes, which were okay. They were not my favorite, but I was like, they're so cheap. I mean,
and we were super budgeted.
We were super budgeted, and I didn't really have any choice. And my mom just kept saying, you could just use a silver brush. You have them. And I'm like, no, I need them for my art, Mom. I only have so many left and I can't afford to replace them, and it's not like you're dropping 50 or 60 over at my house every 2 seconds, so I've got to do what I can afford to do. So it was a real blessing to be able to move into this space, but it is a real space in my family. So can you see how this is all like shaping into being more like plant now?
Yeah.
It feels like plants now.
Hey.
Hey.
Ghost just showed up.
No.
Hiya, Ghost. And she actually has a really good question for you.
No, she always has good questions.
She does. She says, John, this is an important question.
I'm going to sip a cup of coffee and answer Ghost Hostess's question.
She says,
Space Coast to Coast.
Sherpa, can a swallow carry a coconut?
That's just not even okay, guys. I don't even know why you would do that. I still love you, Ghost. I still love you. I have no idea. You'll have to read the chat if you want to know, because I don't know.
So, again, this will come into you'll have to watch Monty Python, Quest for the Holy Grail, and come back with the answer to
Is that from the Holy Grail?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I just remember with a cunning plan of turnips.
Oh, yeah. No. That was, there was a question of whether this was an English swallow. So.
Oh, okay. I'm tracking now, but I don't remember it. I'll have to rewatch. So marathon. Quest for the Holy Grail marathon for everyone in the Big Art Quest. Have fun.
And
discuss in group.
And for
I'll let the moderators know.
And for those who don't know who Spike is, you can go watch some Buffy and get caught up on.
But that is not official homework, and you don't have to share no Spike. Go share Spike in my mom's group.
Okay.
Don't. I don't know how strict they are in moderating their group. I'm hardly ever in there. You could get in a lot of trouble.
On your mom.
They might be cool. They might be. I just don't know. I'm not worried about it.
Tell us about the shrubbery.
So I added a little more CAD to it. I've warmed it all through here, as you can see. And now the fun stuff. I'm going to rinse my brush off because as you're painting, right, what can happen is that the paint begins to dry on your brush. And even with the glazing medium loaded in there first, see how I'm doing? This is a new thing we're doing for the drier, hotter months. It's working really, 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 really well. So we're just pulling that in. Now the paint has got a place to be. I am going to get a lot of my burn. And you're like, wait, you're going so much darker. That is because this particular foliage that I'm about to do is known for being darker. And I'm going to, it has a particular structure and a particular shape. When you're painting landscapes, when you're painting fantasy scapes, and you're maybe you find a perfect forest scene and you want to magic it up, looking at plants, having references, it's essential. Because then you'll go, oh, I know this plant has a particular shape. And so even if you're painting that loosely, you can see I'm pressing the brush down and pulling it in, I'm going to be doing a little foxglove. And they have really sort of a broad foliage shape. And they can be quite a big plant. Sometimes the little leaves go down. And if I'm trying to talk about them, see, I'm like, and some of them are a little bit back. Now, some of the leaf obviously would be have some light reflection on it. So now I've got those base ones in. I add a bunch of Indian yellow and make it a little titanium white. Because now it's serious.
Serious.
You can come into the front of some of your leaves where they might be in the light, right? And add some. Or, a little highlight softly somewhere. The ones in the back would be softer highlights, right, than the ones in the front. Because where's the light? And that's what you're always asking yourself. Where is my light? Yeah, it's a pretty nice big. And I'll keep adding that texture. I'm going to get right more into the titanium white and the Indian yellow. Gosh, I love Indian yellow. And add a few more of those here and there. Maybe even some that come back. If I've got to darken it back up to add some little dark foliage that's maybe underneath, I can come in and do that. But see how we've got a very different structure, don't we?
Yeah.
Than the rest of our plant life. And that's going to make it stand out, and that's going to make it feel special. I'm going to rinse out, and I'm going to do a similar one maybe in a different spot. Maybe I'll put like some of it back here lighter and maybe a strong one right here. This is fun for me. I hope it's fun for you. If your paint is drying, I'm going to take a minute and mist it. I don't enjoy stay wet palettes. That doesn't mean they're not effective or anything. I just don't personally enjoy them, so I don't use them often. I have a cake plate that I convert into a stay wet palette when I've got to hold my paint for a while. So I was getting in my Indian yellow, and I wanted to lighten it with some titanium white and get into the green, but I still want it warmer than that, so this is about where I'm going. And I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to do some similar structures. And I might actually turn my canvas so I feel confident in my stroke.
Could I ask you to go back and remix that one more time?
Yeah.
I just missed that. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm sure I can get there again.
Yeah, sorry.
So I'm going to get some glazing medium on my brush. Load up with my Indian yellow. I'm going to pick up some of my green, right? I got into a little bit of my titanium white.
There it goes.
And that's the run. And I'm just looking for a nice soft bit that I feel like I can.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I was answering a question.
And I'm going to let some of those strokes be a little bit light and transparent because I want them to feel distant, right? And not as defined as those in front. Because as things are coming forward into focus, right? We're not cameras. We have to create the lens of our focus, don't we?
Well, speak for yourself.
Oh, I like that. We're not cameras. We create the lens of our focus. So I just went into my Indian yellow and my zinc, and I'm going to make sure some of that is maybe a little bit lighter, right? And then I might even get something stronger like my titanium loading up, working it through the brush, coming back to the front of these leaves, and just letting some of those be a little more defined. Now, I can always come in, add a little of my brown and green to just get a slightly darker aspect, and maybe add some bush shape here. That's a little more in the shade. And I don't like it going that far forward. I think it takes it out of the space I was trying to create it in. So I'm going to just,
back out a little bit.
Before it dries,
Oh,
back
yeah.
it out a little bit so it stays where, you know, I want it to be. And sometimes, like, even as I back it out, like the pigment's like, oh, that's nice. I'll just put that there. So, you know, feel like you've got some room when you're making stuff to make adjustments and rethink things. That's a little too white. And if it ever is, you just go right into your Niño and say, no, I'm going to catch some light here, but it needs to be.
See, I'm with Kim. I love how these plants just pop out of the darkness and look like they just came alive.
They should be there.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that too. Now I'm going to get a little of my zinc and pull this out. And I think I'm going to actually maybe get into just a titch of my burnt sienna. Can you see how I've like kind of impacted that white?
Yep.
So a few places back here, I'm going to add a little like implied, maybe distant flower. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
I've got a simpler version. It's still, you know, like a 3-hooter, but I've got a simpler version of this type of forest coming up on Sunday. And I expect to do some more because I like them. So this is just, it's a little warmed because it's in the light. You know, and I might put some like a little bit here. So these are just soft little weird strokes. They're like saying, hey, something's here, but you don't know what it is exactly. You just know it's something. It's a little warm. And the way the zinc layers, it lets it feel like a very delicate like petal that light is maybe shining through. Hard to know what's holding it up. Could be a soft stem, right? And then to define that a little more, what I'll do is I'll get some titanium white just on the tip of my brush and strengthen some. Look at that. Strengthen some. Little floating, blazing. There we go. Let's strengthen some. Not all. And it's that combo of these sort of very soft bits and these very like intense bits. And I will sometimes carry a line past her to just make sure that when I paint her in, they have that Indian yellow on here. And then wherever you need to, yeah, we're just making sure that these are pushed, little bits of flowers that are pushed into the background. They're lovely.
Cleaning that brush.
Clean the brush.
But don't leave it in the water.
Definitely don't leave your brush in water. It's damaging to the wood, the glue, and the finish. And it doesn't take that much time to do damage. So I'm back to the burnt sienna, phthalo green, phthalo blue mix. So that's a nice, pretty dark mix, right?
Brushes and submarines are not the same thing.
We'll do some nice little dark little lines coming up to hold our little spikes. We don't have to have too many of the dark lines. Some of these will have, you know, our light. They'll be darker if they're coming back, right? And you don't need to see them that well. They're there, and their being there is impactful. Now, I'm going to wipe off my brush a bit and get the Indian yellow worked into it, maybe even a little titanium white. And then I'll take some of my stems forward. You can kind of just see that they're very motiony. Once those are like that, I can start painting in my foxgloves. I think we'll go pink, right, guys? Let's go pink. But to make this pink interesting in the canvas, I'm going to take my cad yellow into it and warm it up just a smidge. I'll get my zinc right here. And you can see it lifts the color and reveals it without just taking it out.
Now, can I want to ask a slightly different question here based on what you just said. Swarna was asking, she didn't understand what you meant when you say digitally composite something.
Oh, so let me answer that as
Yeah.
soon as I get the spike flowers in, and I will totally answer that because that's a good question.
Yeah.
And it's something that it's nice to be able to do, as an artist. So right now I'm taking that sort of warmer pink and I'm tapping it. And then as I'm going to go back, I'm going to add more of the magenta into this. And I can even smidge a little of the titanium now. And I'll make little distinctive marks, see? And that's what's going to make them feel more like a foxglove than just a spike flower. Because you can have spike flowers, very similar structure, but it is the tapping, pulling that I'm doing that's going to help them feel like that. Now, as I'm moving back, I'll actually go more into this color to start the next little flower. And I may even come and pull some back. And do that again here. Aren't those fun?
Yeah.
It's just a little tap, tap, tap at the top. And then I'm just pulling the little shape back. You could do this with a round. This isn't like a magic brush by which flowers flow out. It is a magic brush that doesn't upset me. And that is magic. That it doesn't annoy me. I'm darkening the paint, right, by adding more magenta into it. And then I can come back into this flower, see? And even here at the base of some of these, darken them up. And what happens? It gives a lot of dimensionality in that one little guy right there, and maybe another little guy right here. Little tap, 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 tap. Now, I'm noticing my brush is getting sticky, so I'm going to wash it out. I'm going to get right back into my glazing. Work it through. Because I know see how much better I'm doing? Like, I know I'm dealing with that hot day again. But guys, I made a plan. I'm like, there is a way to get through this hot temperature and these hot studio conditions, and I am going to work it out. Maybe like a little kind of pink there, and I'm going to kind of imply that there's some stuff happening there so that it has a little bit of everything going on. Now, once I get to these darker ones, I'm going to want to grab a smidge of my phthalo. You can see it just barely grabbed any, and look how much it impacts my magenta. It's like crazy how much it hits. And I'm going to add that darker value. That. And I think that's pretty okay. I can always like take the away from the light side and add some value to it. And you can see I pull that all in. And now I've got a little bit of spike flower. But secret sauce to making them pop is going to be getting your magenta. Right, pull that out. Get a little of that cad yellow to warm that magenta up again. And now pull into the titanium. Much more powerful pigment. Much heavier. And be sure and give these some highlights. Right? Where the sun would be hitting them. And as I move forward, I'm going to wipe off my brush and actually get more of that Indian yellow I love. Get into that titanium white. And maybe tap a little bit so that just the ends of these spikes have some light. That caught them. See how we're getting a little light?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you need to blend that in, you just get right back into your little magenta. And blend it in. Now, a lot of this works because our paint colors are very transparent. And that really helps the way things lighten and blend into each other. But now we have these flowers. See how they're going into the light now? That's what we're going for. To that end, I'm going to continue with this brush. I'm going to get some of my glazing medium. I'm going to load up that nice warm color with the magenta that we just made. I'm going to make sure that I've got a few little spikes happening back here. Because I planted another one of these. It'd be terrible if it didn't bloom. I mean, if, you know, the queen of the sun and family and spring comes by, you'd think something would bloom, right? So you want to make sure that she's at least greeted by some flowers. And it doesn't have to have as many or as focused of flowers. And you can go into your white and lighten it. Make sure that as they peek out, they too are a little lighter.
Cecile asks a really interesting question.
Cecile, oh, I still didn't answer the digital question.
I'll remind you. I'll remind you when you come back.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to take a break, sip coffee after I get these highlighted, and go over the digital and Cecile's question.
Okay, now I say this. This could be a trick where it's a Cecil and not a Cecile, so
okay.
I'm not sure.
Or Cecil.
But is there a reason why you go from the tip down on the flower instead of from the bottom up?
I like it. You could go from the bottom up if you're trying to layer the petals. It depends on what you're trying to do, and I'm trying to control the depth of my shape and things.
So just different ways you...
Yeah. Comfort. Now, I want these to feel layered in their bush, so I'm going to go back into my green, get my yellow, little burnt, load up, and just make sure that we've got some leaves. They're holding them in. There we go. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
You got to have some leaves holding the little spikes in. Okay. Now, I'm going to sip my coffee.
Sip the coffee.
I know this painting is taking a long time. They're more involved, but I'm trying to do some pieces where we're like, woohoo, I did it. Oh, wait, I'll be right back.
Were you? You did? Hello. So, yeah, okay. Oh, ha 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 ha. I know what you were doing. I muted
Everybody knows what I was doing.
No, I'm muted.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So I control the horizontal and the vertical. So
it's true, you do. You control the horizontal and the vertical. Okay. So here's the sitch. Digital manipulation.
What is you called it something else?
Yeah, but what I'm really talking about is I have a reference photo, and in painting practices, how I use reference photos and how many artists use reference photos is for lighting, placement, shapes of things, size relationships. But we're not really like slave to them. We're not like like beholden to them in any way. It's just information that we need, and so we change them up a lot. And for this big art quest, I found some great reference starting points that could let you guys know where I was going, but they didn't really illustrate the full direction. And so in an effort to help you see, and even myself see as an artist, sometimes I'll go in to digital editing software and I'll add elements and change colors and experiment with ideas to make sure that what's in my head makes sense in some way on the canvas. So that was one.
Huh.
That's what it was. One more question because I'm sipping my coffee.
Oh, I just learned
You don't
something.
have to ask me a question. I'm just saying this would be when to do it.
No, my little brain was just having a really broken moment because so apparently there is a spelling difference between the masculine and the feminine version of Cecile and Cecil.
Okay.
I just didn't know it because I'm a phonetic speller and was a physics math person.
At least you're a speller.
And not a speller at all. Like I misspelled spelling.
Mm. I get that.
Yeah. So thank you. That was, I think Julie was the like, by the way, did you know that this I before E thing has a purpose? And I was like, oh yeah. Thanks.
No, not at all. Like not even a little bit. It's like crazy how little we know.
No. Yeah. Okay. So we're for like, I'm like super, oh wait, my phone's ringing. I go make that be quiet. Oh, that's your phone. Haha, not my fault.
Is it my mom?
It's your mom.
Hi, Mom.
So
I'll call you back.
So, I guess we got 20 minutes left today to do stuff. So we're okay. We're still.
Let's get some headway going.
Okay.
All right. I'll call my mom back. I'm going to mist again. I'm going to lay in some of the color and begin to lay in some of the color of the dress, maybe some of what's happening here. Just so we can start getting this layer space together. So on her dress, I want it to look a little more like ephemeral and light. So this is a number 6 bright. This is by Ruby Satin. I'll have all the brushes in my description after the show. I'm getting it wet and dragging off extra water, and I'm going to get right into those colors that I had mixed over here, right? And just let them all be in there. I'm going to get my little glazing in there so that they don't just go away on me. And I'm going to add a smidge of that phthalo. You know what we're doing? So I just want her to make her feel like her dressmaker is better than all of our dressmakers. And I thought it would be really fun. And it's okay to take this brush stroke as you're pulling this down. Go ahead and take this brush stroke long and strong. Every stroke that you make, like calligraphy, tells a story, right? Calligraphy is a very good lesson for artists because it really reminds us that the motion and shape of a stroke is as much part of the composition as the color and value and the other factors that might come into a painting. So a little more blue over here. If it's too much, you can just like work it off because you'll need it in a minute anyways, and you've got glazing medium. You know, so this is a little more purple, but you see I'm just blending this up if you need more glazing medium. I'm going to be doing lots of little glazy layers on her dress. And the reason being is I want it to feel magical, empowered, all those good things that a great dress should be. Right?
Yeah.
Aren't those the good things that a great dress should be? I'm going to grab a little of my zinc. Sometimes zinc can bring out the
well, I feel kind of like
of
as long as you're in it, it's a great dress.
As long as you're in it?
As long as you're in it.
Oh.
Although I don't know what I would look like in a dress.
I have no judgment. I have no judgment.
I don't know. I mean, like.
That is not my trigger. I would be like, okay, you wore it well.
I don't know how I would look in a gown.
You know,
I'm very tall.
Here's when you get in trouble, is if you look better in the dress than me. That is when you're in trouble. Everything else is groovy.
Well, let's not experiment.
Yeah, if you look better in the dress than me, it's like divorce.
So this is one of those things, couples can't wear the same clothes.
Yeah. No.
Although you do steal my shirts.
Only ones that you got too skinny for.
It's not true. You steal all my shirts.
No. I don't steal all your shirts.
All my good ones.
Well, I found them first. I was the one who went to rodeo.
It's true. You did.
So see how we're kind of pulling that down, and we're going to just keep pulling these brush strokes down. As I'm coming up the dress, I'm going to get more into the magenta, and I might grab a little of the zinc so we can still see the color. Now, it's true that we're going to have a lot of like her hair here and her skin here, but I can still lay in the basics at the beginning of the dress and not disrupt any of that. So see, like right here at the bust where I came in, that's going to help even shape that as I'm going forward. I don't have to worry too much of what's over here by the hair, but I can still make sure that I've talked about it in some way with my brush. So that later when I'm like, where's the other side? She has one. Trying to make sure she's not outside. There we go. Bust line. Sort of, again, there's a bunch of hair over it. So other than like having space for the hair to show through, don't on this side feel that stressed about it, which is why I'm not. We just want to make sure that when we lay the hair over there, we've got some great space. Now, is it starting to tack and dry? I'm going to come in, and I think I'm going to get more into this sort of like purple blue color that I've got and add a lot more zinc to it. Get some of my floating medium because I want these strokes to be long and strong and glazy. Long and strong and glazy. We'll define them and refine them as we go, but it's a nice place to start. So zinc. Because I want her to feel like a petal. And build up the magic of all of that as we're coming through. A little more of my glaze, a little of my zinc to pick the color up. And you can see how just getting this dress in starts to really pull her into her space. And the other thing I can also start to work in is, of course, her wings, because as those are behind her and we don't have any more stuff to put in front of them, we can start talking about them in a more real way. So we're going to get this sort of laid in and the wings sort of laid in before we go anywhere, if that's okay. And we're just taking as much time as we need to on these projects. That's what we're doing. So this time I am definitely going to go a little bit darker. I'm going to get a little more of my phthalo blue into my magenta for the wings. And at the base, more glazing medium. Just at the base. And I may need to switch to a smaller brush if I'm not having an easy time, you know, painting around where I know I'm going to put her face. I'm not going to take this dark color all the way up, so don't skip ahead of me. Or you'll be like, wait, no. Now I'm going to be I'm actually going to tatter the wing a little more than is in the reference picture. I just couldn't find the wing.
You're supposed to be nice to your wings.
No, but so what it is the art style that I like in a fairy wing, I would have had to have stolen somebody else's actual designs, like costume designs.
Gotcha. So
and I did not feel good about that and couldn't get a hold of anybody to get permission. So I'm like, I'm just gonna fantasy make one up.
You know, make some up.
Yeah. So I used wings that I had the rights to, and then.
Well, that's the good thing to do, though.
Right.
Is to, you know,
be
respectful.
Even those little elements, like if I can't just go out and find it, then that does belong to somebody, you know? So when I have that in, I'm going to rinse that off a little bit. And now I'm going to get into my magenta a little more. I'm going to have to pull it to the side. No, it's not even going to warm it up. I'm going to let a little of this cooling color be in it, but not too much. I'm going to get into the zinc and the titanium. I want it to be like half transparent. And I'm going to come up the top of the wing. I'm going to dip in, come up.
Oh, that's a big ring.
So dip in, come up, go like that. Very carefully, not overreaching, because I need lots and lots of room to be delicate with what I'm going to do. A little bit right there. You can see how I'm blending these two together, right? This groundwork is going to really help me later when I really refine these. So this is, I'm just creating that shape. I'm working the corner of my brush. I'm going to roll out, get more into the zinc that I had loaded in my brush. Sometimes I do that. I'm going to narrate when it happens. So everyone's like, what happened there? I rolled out the zinc that was loaded into the deeper part of the bristles of my brush. I'm going to soften this. See how that is?
Yeah.
Let's bring a little bit right there. Make it a little more interesting, right? Interesting little edges that we've got going. So we have the beginning of a wing happening there. Load, 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 load. Get a little of that glazing medium on there. Where will you be? And then I'm going to come here and that corner. And you can see why I was concerned about preserving a little bit of that white. Now you can always go back if you're having trouble getting the vibrancy because the green went too far into your wing space. Paint them white first, let it dry, and then go get your pink in.
And the white makes it easier for the colors to more uniformly cover?
Yeah, because they're very transparent, and these are contrasts. So the green, see how at the tip here, it's like a little grayed compared to like where the white is? That's all that's happening. But of course, on the tip, that's just completely fine.
And that's because it's a little transparent, huh?
Yeah.
And those are contrasts?
Yep. Little transparent, contrasting colors. Makes for some very interesting. See, I'm like using just the corner of my brush. That's how I get those little edge effects. Now I've got to give her like a foreshortened wing here. And this, I'm actually going to do an interesting thing. I'm going to do that white because the branch comes right here. And I know what I'm doing is so transparent, I'm going to need to white it out.
Oh, that one little part there.
So I'm just going to get a little of my titanium white first.
Oh, you're going up much higher there.
And make that a little bit higher than its friend. But we're going to definitely put this in perspective. I'm trying to be dramatic. I don't know how I'm doing. But that little bit will help everything sort of show through. And I may take that down a bit. Like I wanted it to go higher, but I feel like I went too high and not enough of a curve. And that's why sometimes it's nice to have days between painting sessions on a painting. As much as I love to go quickly, there we go, I'm just gonna bring that back further. As much as I love to go quickly, one of the nice things about having a few days between the painting is everything cures and really dries, which means as I'm working that next layer, you know, I will get to be able to erase really easily. I think I'm happy with that. Let me look, see how am I feeling. Yeah, I'm feeling okay about it. I want to change the line of the other wing though, which I'm going to do right now, so it's a little more in keeping with that one. See how I did? And I might add just a smidge of the titanium white to improve its coverage.
Just letting you know that I see that we're...
just at an hour now?
Well, no, not yet. We're probably, we got about 7-8 minutes.
Okay.
We're getting close.
I'm getting close to being able to rest and stop.
Well, that's why I figured I was just... trying not to sneak it up on you.
No,
so you
no, I
like
appreciate it. You're amazing.
I don't want to pounce you at the time. Like,
I just got to get some pink in the wigs and then work on the dress a little bit more. So that's the perfect amount of time we have left. So I'm just sort of working that in. You know, and I can always come back and adjust color and blend some purple in there or anything that I need. So you're just working them until you're happy with the perspective. There we go. Perfect. I'm happy with that.
That's good.
So I'm going to get back where I had a little bit of that kind of purple from the magenta and the blue together. There are some still worked. Yay. There's always some somewhere. And just make sure I've got a little bit of that tipped into here. If you're having trouble blending, get right into your glazing medium. Go ahead and work that. Don't feel like you can't. We just have to have a little bit of that color there for later. And if we didn't, we'd still be okay. And I'm taking this down into our head a little bit so I have a nice little blend here. I've got a nice little blend there, huh?
Yeah, you'll be covering that up when you paint the hair in.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm going to work my pink again through here a little bit. So I'm going to take my pink and this time a little bit of my titanium white. And I'm going to be coming from the waist down. Again, long and strong strokes. Doesn't mean we won't do any folds or wrinkles. It just means that I'm laying in the basis for everything as I'm going. And I want to make sure I just added some glazing medium to improve the flow. Put out a little teeny bit more magenta so I can get this while the blend is here. Because there's a particular blend, you know, I want to get while I can get it, while the getting is good. Tomorrow we get to start our Crene. Crene, she's a inland mermaid.
Ooh.
So she's going to be all koi and water lily and all that fun stuff.
I was seeing that image floating around. I was wondering when that was coming up.
That is Friday at noon. So I know we're doubling up this month. It's just, you know, some months are a harder work month than others, just randomly because I decided.
You get more art this month.
More art this month. Sorry. Like so much art this month. So I just warmed this up a little bit. And I'm going to come from the bottom. I get glazing medium if I need to. I'm going to come from the bottom and just kind of tip a little, like right here at the edge here. See how we're doing? This is going to help when I get the blue over it. It's going to create some drama. And we love drama on our canvas, even if we're not a fan of it in our life. I don't take it all the way up, and that is because there's going to be that sort of blue overlay, and I want to retain some of the bright pink. So I'm just making sure I grab both my whites there, making sure that I've got these sort of values, and then, but also more importantly, that I have these hue plays. Hue is the color. I make sure that I've got a hue color. And you notice I'm taking like that warm hue pretty far up this side, but then when I come back, I'm going to work just the pure pink through the rest of what I've got. And you will see me grabbing glazing medium to improve flow. I'm just enjoying taking the time and softening things, softening them when they need it. Some of you might be going, but it would be easier to just sew the dress at this point. And that might be true, but not a magical fairy dress. Those are just, it takes the time it takes, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm pretty sure you have to be an endgame crafter to make a fairy dress anyway.
Do you? Do you? Back up into the bodice to make sure there's a nice rich color right here. Right. Yeah, I can refine things and adjust things once I'm putting in the skin tone. I can even come back with a little white paint and a small brush and work the design if need be. Now, as I'm coming down here, I'm going to start to pull that dark color, and I'm going to do something very interesting. I'm going to get my little magenta here, and I might even grab a little of my Diox purple. And I want the color still to feel pink, so I'll get my zinc into it, but it needs to be kind of like a nice more shadow color. And then I'm going to make sure that I've got one kind of dark shadow value here. I need to get some glazing medium on there so it rolls out nicely. That I will do. Soften that line. Let it thin up at the dress.
Now, Trish was just asking how close to the actual color is the screen, because this is a very pinky pink, and
oh yeah, it's
very
quinacridone and a little cad yellow. It's like a glow.
So what I will say is that it's very close. You can both there's subtle differences, but it is as bright as it appears. But there may be just subtle shade differences in the what between what you're seeing on the screen and what's in real life.
Yeah, but not in a significant way, and that's just because the camera can't see as well as your eye. Actually, things tend to be more saturated.
Yeah, actually,
in your eye. So I'm gonna pull this little kind of crease right here a little closer in.
To that end, what I would say is that if you have a chance to view a painting in real life, they look so much better than they ever can on camera or a photo.
Or they should.
Yeah, I mean, they become a different thing. They can as soon as you photo edit them. So but the transmissiveness, the reflectiveness, all of that about a painting, the pigments, it's just amazing to see them in person.
It really is.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's
Soapbox.
okay. What I'm doing is I'm kind of laying in the groundwork for wonderful fabric folds. Because that's some of what is magical about this dress is the folding. But also I needed it to be very fairyish, so it's good that we had this time. Getting the purple on my brush, working it through with my glazing medium. It's nice if there's sort of a nice thin little line to the waist, then we can pull it down.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes we'll pull one off and let another little fold happen. Load, load, load. If you did the cloak with me, you kind of understand how this plays out, right?
Mm.
You're like, oh, we're just doing that cloak thing again. The cloak never ends. It's just a never-ending cloak of Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
She's so amazing. I love red. So I'm being a little stronger with some of the values and the lines, but that is because we want to tell a very strong visual story as we're folding out her dress, right? So now can you see it taking shape?
Oh, yeah.
And while we've got it here, we'll just get some of this to that next stage. I'm going to pull out, and this will be key, a little of my phthalo.
You know you're at your hour, though.
Yeah, I know I'm on
Okay.
my hour. Go a little over.
It's okay. It's all right.
No,
I
I know you're just telling me. I'm all good. Get a little phthalo.
I am a Time Lord. I gotta,
You're hoping to be a Time Lord someday.
you know.
Come right here, top, and very carefully. And I may even pull my glasses into this, right, as you need to, so that I am not having trouble. Get a little glazing medium on here. Blend, 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 blend. A little more of my zinc. Blend, 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 blend. What I'm trying to do is just very carefully keep the fabric folds that I have, but also do that crazy bluish value that the dress has. If your blue gets too dark, you just got to wipe off and reload. Get your glazing medium, reload. Reload. Just, enjoy the journey. Soften where you need to.
While you're wrapping that up, can you remind everybody about our Play Live and St. Jude?
Oh, that is not, that is, okay.
Oh, well, gosh. Just remind about St. Jude in general.
Okay, so this month, on Saturday and Sunday, and also on Facebook through several sessions, we are going to be sharing with you our passion and love for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This is the hospital that has figured out the treatment for several of the worst childhood cancers in the world, the most deadly. In fact, it was the first place to figure out that children could live through cancer. Because at the time when they opened, their primary cancer they now treat had a 4% survival rate.
Yeah.
And they have made it their life's mission to make sure that no child dies at the dawn of life. See, always make me talk about this. So
I was just wondering, there was a lot of chat going on, so I just wanted to make sure that we let people know that this month we're supporting St. Jude throughout the month with the Play Live program. So definitely check out the channel. You can check out TheArtSherpa.com for more information. You can check the description in the link below.
I didn't have it in this description because it's a quest day and we don't do the wishes and everything on quest day. That's why I got all like fleshmeckled. And I had it mentally prepared for it.
Oh, well, and they were just the folks
But
asking
Saturday and Sunday,
yeah.
Both of those paintings, we have all kinds of cool things for you guys if you'll come and participate with us, and you will support St. Jude. There's lots of ways to support them. Being aware, telling people that they're out there. If you have a friend, a family member, somebody who is going through, a genetic illness that is happening, check their website because they take patients. They take patients from all over the world. And if you get selected, there is no, babe, you're looking at my flower. There is no medical cost for the family ever. They're an amazing organization. Anything they figure out how to treat or cure, they release that to the world. So every medical doctor can then treat or cure it, and they have some of the best facilities. So come out Saturday and learn about all of it. Watch the show. Be sure you're following my Facebook page because we're going to be doing some crazy lives for there. And so the whole thing is we're trying to be part of that team that raises money and awareness. So that's shares and tweets about what's happening with St. Jude. So like you guys just all went and followed St. Jude on Twitter and followed their YouTube channel. See, that's still supporting them.
Yeah.
So we can support at every level of what we have in our lives to be able to be supportive. Sometimes it's a tweet. Sometimes it's resources. They love both because that's what keeps them going, and they are doing good work. I'm getting into my titanium white.
They love that you said verschmeckled. Sorry,
I think we're gonna have to finish up later. I think I lost my whole thing.
I'm sorry.
We'll finish next time.
That's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I didn't mean to throw your. But we verschmeckled the Sherpa.
No, my paint went and dried on me.
Oh, that was my fault.
So, you guys, we're going to see you again next week to continue on with this painting. We will keep meeting up as long as it takes. I want you guys to be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and let's meet at the easel again real soon. Bye-bye.